things in American homes that are weird to British people. There are some features about American homes that seem completely normal to Americans that are absolutely mind-boggling to British people. So let's talk about some of the key differences between American and British homes. And my British friends, let me know if you agree with these. Let's get into it. Okay, first up, light switches and power outlets inside the bathroom. So in the UK, it's very common for the light switches for the bathroom to be on the wall outside the bathroom. And most bathrooms in the UK do not have a power outlet inside the bathroom at all, except for maybe just a small one for an electric razor. Having a power outlet inside the bathroom is extremely weird to British people because they worry about the close proximity of the power outlet to the water. Which makes sense because, as we all know, electricity and water do not mix. Now, speaking of the bathroom, having just one faucet for both hot water and cold water is also weird to British people because in the UK, it's typical to have two separate taps, one for hot water and one for cold water. And I don't just mean two separate handles, I mean two separate taps. One that only dispenses hot water and one that only dispenses cold water. It's not typical to have just one faucet that mixes both the hot and cold water like we have in American households. Also, having a completely separate room for laundry. So in the UK, most people have their washing machine in the kitchen. It's also not super common to have a tumble dryer in the UK because most people in the UK line dry their clothes. And it's not very common to have a top-loading washing machine in the UK, which makes sense because you can't have a washing machine that loads from the top if it's underneath your kitchen counter. Air conditioning. Now, air conditioning is standard in nearly every American home, which is not the case in the UK. Most homes in the UK do not have air conditioning. There may be some homes in America that don't have air conditioning, but this is definitely not common. It's mostly just the really old homes that don't have it. It's also very weird to British people to see air vents like these in the floor. So these are the vents that circulate the air conditioning and heat throughout the home, which would make sense why British people are not accustomed to seeing these if most homes in the UK do not have air conditioning. So the reason that most homes in the UK don't have air conditioning is because it simply doesn't get hot enough. So in America, it's very common for temperatures in the summertime to get up to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit or about 38 degrees Celsius or higher. So air conditioning is an absolute necessity here. Next is power outlets without switches. So from what I saw in my comment section, it absolutely blew the minds of British people that our power outlets do not have switches. So in the UK, power outlets, or plug sockets as they call them, are activated by switches, so they don't generate power unless you flip a switch and turn them on. In America, the power outlets are just always on. We do not flip a switch to activate them, so we just plug stuff in and they are ready to go. Next is window screens. So in the UK, they do not have screens on their windows. We simply cannot get away with that in America because of how many bugs we have. So if I were to open this screen on my window for about 10 seconds, my house would be absolutely swarmed with bugs, so I don't even dare. Although I do have to say that one of the things I love most about America is the scenery. So even though we're looking through a screen right now, look at this view out my window. It is absolutely stunning. And here comes a few horses to say hello. And by the way, my British friends, if you've been hearing that buzzing noise down there, that is the air conditioning. Now in my kitchen, you might notice that one very important item found in nearly every British home is missing. And that item is an electric kettle. Having an electric kettle in your home in America is extremely rare. Most homes do not have a kettle at all, and if they do have one, it's a traditional stovetop one. We Americans just don't drink as much tea as our British friends, and we don't have a tea time alarm that we have to follow, so most of us just don't need to have a kettle. Speaking of weird things in my kitchen, a garbage disposal in my sink. Garbage disposals in the sink do not exist in the UK, and they find it extremely weird that we just rinse food down the drain, chop it up, and call it a day. So to a British person, the blades and the horrible noise that these things make are like something straight out of a horror film. I mean, I get it, I really do. They're a little scary. You might notice that something is missing from my front door that is found in nearly every British home, and that is no letterbox for the mail. In the UK, the postman comes right up to their front door and sticks their mail through a slot in the door called a letterbox. So in America, we do not have letterboxes in our door for the mail. We have separate mailboxes that are detached from the house. And in some cases, these mailboxes are actually very far away and it takes quite a trek to get there. My house actually has a mailbox that is clear down the road. So I'm gonna take you guys on a little journey with me to go get my mail, and we're gonna clock how many steps it takes and how long it takes to get there. Let's go. So I finally made it to the mailbox. We're gonna collect my mail and head back. I just walked all that distance and I had no mail in my mailbox. Rude. So I started out with 5,038 steps for the day, and after getting my mail, came back with 5,659 steps, for a total of 621 steps in just a little over a 5-minute walk just to get my mail. So that is how much time and effort it takes just to get your mail each day in America. In the UK, you could probably walk all the way to the grocery store and back in that amount of time. So sometimes in America, we will go weeks at a time without getting our mail just because it's too much effort. Whereas in the UK, their mail just gets stuck right through a slot in their front door. Lucky Brits. But now that I'm back, I can point out another distinct feature of American homes, and that is open floor plans. So it's a little hard to tell right now because my stuff is all shoved into a corner because my house was destroyed by the flood. But my house does have an open layout. So my kitchen, dining room, and living room are all just one big open connected space without walls separating each room. In British homes, it's much more common for each of these rooms to be separate and distinct spaces, each one separated by a wall. So each room kind of has that smaller, more intimate feeling. The open layouts are slowly being introduced into the UK, but the traditional layout with the walls separating each room is the more common style. And of course, we can't forget the walk-in closets. In American homes, every bedroom does have a closet, some of which are the size of a small room. So in the UK, it's common to just buy a freestanding wardrobe rather than having a full closet like this in your room. But in America, it's not a bedroom unless you have a closet. This is because, in general, Americans tend to own more clothes and have larger wardrobes than our British friends. And as you can see, I am definitely guilty of that. My wardrobe is massive. So large, in fact, that my clothes are actually spread out among 3 separate closets. So I have one closet for my main clothes, a second closet for all of my fall and spring attire, and a third closet for my winter attire. And as you can see, my shoe collection is equally as large and consists mostly of cowgirl boots. I have no idea where I would keep all this stuff if I lived in a house in the UK. In fact, I don't know how long I would last in a UK house in general. I really like my space and my comfort. So my British friends, what do you think? Are these things weird to you? And what other things do you find weird about American homes? Let me know.